You've heard of playing Pong, but have you ever seen a brain play it? Scientists just grew a human brain cell that can play Pong. Okay, so this isn't like training some kind of artificial intelligence to beat us at our own games. It's more like training a single neuron to respond to visual stimuli and develop motor skills by having it control a paddle in a very simple game of Pong. But the fact that they were able to get a neuron to do this is still pretty remarkable. So let's talk about how scientists coaxed a brain cell into becoming a Pong pro. First off, we need to talk about what exactly they're working with here. They aren't training an AI or even a mini brain. It's a single human neuron. In the body, neurons send signals via electrical impulses they generate themselves along their cell membranes. When they receive chemical signals from other neurons at their dendrites, which are these branch-like structures extending from the cell, they integrate that information, and if the signal is strong enough, they fire back with their own impulse down the axon, which is the long, thin part of the neuron. Axons are often coated with myelin, which helps the signal travel faster. And when one neuron's axon reaches another neuron, it doesn't actually touch it. Instead, there's a small gap called the synapse, where chemical messengers or neurotransmitters are released. The neurotransmitters then bind to receptors on the next neuron, continuing the signal. In the lab, though, neurons don't have all those buddies around them to pass the signal along to. So researchers have had to get creative about how to make neurons do stuff while they're growing in a dish. This particular study, which was published in the journal Neuron in May 2023, used a microfluidic device that channels liquid through it in a way that closely mimics how neurotransmitters would naturally pass between neurons. It's basically like an artificial version of the buddy system. And because we're talking about a single neuron here, we're also talking about a single cell that has both dendrites and an axon. If the neuron receives a signal on its dendrite, the microfluidic device will detect it and pass a liquid carrying a neurotransmitter down the channel towards the other end of the device, closer to the neuron's axon. Once it gets there, the neurotransmitter binds to the right receptors, firing the neuron and sending a signal down its length. By placing electrodes on either side of the neuron, the researchers can measure the signal as it passes through. And since they know exactly where on the dendrite they're sending the initial signal and how fast it travels down the axon, they can figure out exactly how long it takes for the signal to go all the way through the neuron. Basically, they're measuring how fast the neuron fires after it receives a stimulus. But getting a neuron to respond to visual stimuli requires more than just basic sensory input. They need to process what they see and then decide how to respond. So the team first had to train their neuron to respond to visual cues by showing it a flashing light consistently paired with the arrival of that neurotransmitter signal. Once the neuron had learned to recognize the flash as a reliable predictor of the neurotransmitter signal, it could start to incorporate that visual cue into its decision-making process. Then they started to show the neuron a second visual cue, a gray square moving across the screen. At first, the neuron didn't do anything in response to the moving square, but over time, it started to anticipate the movement based on the visual cue and adjust how it responded to the neurotransmitter signal. Essentially, the neuron started coordinating its response based on what it saw coming. And you know, it seems like such a small thing, but this is basically the same process that happens in your brain when you play a video game. Your eyes see what's going on the screen, and your brain decides how to respond. After pairing the visual cue with the neurotransmitter signal for a few weeks, the neuron started responding predictably enough that the researchers could use it to play a simple game of Pong. The neuron controlled a paddle on the screen, and when it received a visual cue indicating a ball was coming its way, it would move the paddle up or down accordingly. Remember, this is a single human neuron with a length of about 600 micrometers, about as wide as a human hair. To put that into perspective, you would have to stack up about 400 of these neurons to reach the width of your pinky finger. And yet it was able to learn to play a video game. Now, yes, this is a super basic version of Pong. There's only one paddle and one ball, and the ball doesn't do anything fancy. It just goes left and right. but it still took the neuron a few days to learn to play and get better at it. Over time, it got so good that it could keep the ball on its side of the screen indefinitely. And remember, this little neuron is learning and adapting just like your brain does. It's taking in new information, making adjustments, and storing those adjustments for later. It's literally changing how it works based on its experiences. Of course, a lot of people watching this video probably aren't thinking, wow, I can't wait for neurons to get good enough at Pong that they can beat me at my own game. But this research is important because it's giving scientists a better understanding of how neurons work, which could help them develop new treatments for neurological disorders. For example, by understanding how neurons adapt to visual cues, scientists may be able to develop new therapies for people with visual impairments. Understanding how neurons process and store information could lead to new ways of treating memory disorders like Alzheimer's, and developing new ways of interfacing with neurons could help people with paralysis regain control of their muscles. Ultimately, this research is just one more step in helping us understand how our brains work. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll have Pong playing neural networks running around inside our heads. No, that doesn't sound like it would end well. Okay, maybe not Pong, but something less violent. We could use some more uplifting video game-related science news. Speaking of video games, you know what's like a video game but not a video game? A board game. And I know what you're thinking. Science, Bob. I don't want to play Monopoly with real money. I don't want to deal with real-life consequences. I want to play with fake money. Well, have I got the game for you? Thanks for watching this SCI Show video.